the worst year for a lot of us for our mental as well as physical health. So joining us this morning is best-selling author, coach, and fitness expert, Lisa Goldenthal.
Hello and welcome. I'm Lisa G, your host. You're at the top of your game, yet the game is changing faster than ever. Strategies that got you here aren't the ones that'll keep you here. The pressure is relentless, and the fear of obsolescence looms large. That's why I'm here. Welcome to the new podcast series, Disrupted: How to Be Gritty and Unlock Performance. This is your chance where I sit down with today's tops in business, mindset, wellness, and success to help you master disruption and thrive.
Thanks for coming, and I'll see you soon.
In a world often driven by material pursuits, he offers a refreshing perspective on wealth and its true meaning. Join us as we delve into the world of conscious wealth with a dynamic speaker, investment manager, and author. His journey to understanding the power of money was deeply personal. He went through an introspective process to heal his own beliefs around finances. This transformative experience fueled his desire to help others achieve financial freedom. And tune into our podcast today to discover how insights that can actually transform your relationship with money and unlock your true potential. I'm so excited to welcome to the podcast Brandon Hatton. Welcome.
Thank you, Lisa. Thanks. It's great to be here. Good to be with you.
It's great to have you. I love this topic. So let's jump right into the question about how do you define abundance, and why is it important to shift from a scarcity mindset?
Sure. So, that's a good question. So let's start with the first part, which is abundance, and we'll talk about the spectrum between abundance and scarcity. So being kind of like two opposites on the side of a spectrum. Abundance is this belief or this knowing that you have enough or you will have enough at the exact time that you need it, and that what's happening in your life is happening for a reason. And then the other side of the spectrum of scarcity would be the opposite, that I don't have enough. There's a fear of not having enough, or that I won't have enough, or that something's happening to me that shouldn't be happening. And I'm not necessarily sure that you need to shift from scarcity to abundance. What's important is that you have range along this spectrum. So there are times in life that calls for scarcity. I know when building my business, and many people who can say as they're entrepreneurs have tried to build their business, that it was built with a healthy dose of scarcity, this desire to build something bigger. And in the words that I know that you speak of this a lot, what gets you here might not get you there. This idea that you might be able to build to a certain level, but if you really want to scale, and scale not in the sense of Amazon scaling or a tech platform, but if you want to have a really big impact, both personally, professionally, and in the hearts and minds of other people, there will need to be a shift in more facing towards love or more facing towards this idea of abundance.
Well, do you have any practical tips on how we can shift into an abundance mindset? And I do like the fact that you are saying it's okay to not be there all the time, but to be flexible and adaptable and shift into it. How do we do that?
Well, I think it's really important to understand, and it's important for me to understand when I'm feeling scarcity and not to make a decision. So real life examples is I am an investment manager, and we may have something that we've had stocks drop 20% overnight that we've owned, not just for ourselves, but all of our clients. And that does put a little bit of fear in us, right? We know our companies, we know why we own it, but you wake up in the morning, you see that and you go, oh shit, all right, let's just get rid of this problem, right? Yeah. And then you say, no, wait, hold on. I have a feeling within me, and this feeling I'm trying to get rid of. And to recognize what that feeling is, it's a little bit different for all of us. And that can extend to people, whether they want to buy a house, or want to get a new car, or they get in an argument with a boss and they're saying, or a client and saying, oh God, I don't feel right. I don't feel right. Like now, recognizing what that feels and pausing your actions, maybe getting a nap and a ham sandwich, or just taking time for time to pass so that so that you can reorient yourself. I think it's really important. So feeling what it is like to be in scarcity and recognizing that feeling is one practical tip. And then the other, which my whole book is about, conscious wealth, is rewriting your story or recognizing your story about money. So one of the questions we always ask our clients, and I will ask you right now, Lisa, is what was your earliest memory about money?
Earliest memory, it was more of a scarcity mindset. I mean, I remember it was a topic of some huge debates between my parents, and, you know, it was more like spend all the money and then lose all the money or not really have it. So I don't come from a great training. Like I wish people like trained you how to know about money when you're younger. I know parents are doing that these days, but when I was younger, no.
Sure. Well, that still exists too. And one of the things that if we were to go on to this and talk into more detail is to try to come up with some specific memories about money. Specific, like the first time I ever really thought about it, and start to think about, okay, and then how did that go throughout my life, and start telling what was the story I had about money when I was 6? What was the story when I had when I was 14? And tracing that story around money and understanding how it may have evolved, and then questioning, is that still true? So when I wrote my book, my parents were shocked when they read it. They were like, we had no idea that you thought this was happening, you know? And in fact, my father, a great man, provided for all of us, was a little bit like disappointed, like, I didn't, that's not what happened, you know, was his view. That's not what happened. And I said, it probably wasn't what happened, but it doesn't matter what happens. What matters is how you perceived what happened. And so going back to what are your perceptions on what money was over that time? And are those perceptions still, and then because of those perceptions, you've created a set of beliefs, and then you create a set of actions. Are you still acting on those perceptions, beliefs, and are you still making those actions? And do you still need to be? And so by questioning those beliefs and paying attention to your actions now and tracing them back, you can also find an optimal place for you right now on that spectrum of abundance and
Yeah.
scarcity.
Well, thanks for answering that question. It's so interesting that perception is really the reality. So when you're younger and you hear your parents fighting about money, that my perception was like, oh, money doesn't grow on trees and
Yeah.
hard for money,
Yeah.
and we might not have enough money, and
Sure.
and someone's irresponsible and spending it. So I want to jump into another topic too about financial abundance and purpose. And what are some practical steps individuals can take to align their financial goals with their personal values and passions?
Well, I think it's a really important question, and there's a lot of it in the book, but I want to preface it by saying that my beliefs have evolved a bit since I wrote the book, as I hope all of our beliefs evolve. And one of the things that I've been thinking a lot about lately is that I'm so fortunate that I love my work. I love the people that I work with, and there's this real strong alignment between what I feel is my purpose in life and work. So it's like a blessing. But also, if none of that existed, if it all went away and all I did was be honest with my thoughts and my actions, I'm already a good person, right? Like, and there's so much pressure on us to follow a sense of purpose and to define the sense of purpose. And then on top of that, societal pressure that could be from our parents or just from general, like, especially with pervasive in the, in positive too, but pervasive in the Gen Z and millennial is to try to get this alignment. And I think that's all great. But if none of it happens and you're just a good person, there's already alignment. So I just want to preface that because I feel that it's really important. And it's something that I've just kind of learned for myself, like actually got my teeth into. But putting that aside, answering your question, I think it's really important to define purpose. And I always define purpose using a quote from Thomas Merton, the Trappist monk, who said, "The tree gives glory to God by being a tree." So the idea that we really don't have to do anything to get our purpose, we have to be something. So as I mentioned before, and oftentimes we talk with our when we're counseling some of our families, your kid doesn't need to have this type of business. Your kid doesn't need to be an entrepreneur. Your kid needs to follow their own path and follow their own purpose. And if we can allow money to help peel away those levels so they can live the highest extension of themselves, be that a manager or a mechanic, then that's fine, right? And so how do we use money to bring out the fullest expression of ourselves is really our goal. If we can take that a step further, then maybe we'll just somehow magically, like me, and in my case, complete magic, was able to align the two. And it also took decades of work in my case, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that help? Is that
Yeah,
help?
no,
Yeah.
I love that. I love the way that you are allowing your children to be authentic and be who they really are and have their own purpose and not put those values on them, whether they're a mechanic or a CEO. And it does make sense to me that you are aligned with your purpose, and that is authenticity to me. It's like you show up as who you really are, and people are going to be attracted to you rather than trying to be who you think your parents wanted you to be.
Yeah, my family came to this country over 100 years ago from Lebanon, and the Lebanese poet Khalil Gibran said that we do not own our children. Our children will pass through us. That's a paraphrase. Will come through us, right? And so we really can't control who they're going to be, but sometimes I like to play around with that and think, well, why wouldn't that be the same for me? Like, I don't own myself. I don't own who I'm going to become or what I'm going to do in this world. It's going to pass through me. And my job is just to help like follow that energy. And then I even play with it a bit more. And I say, well, like, I don't even own my money. My money flows through me. And so then what are the implications of that? Like, what does that mean if I don't really own this? I'm just a custodian of it. And how can I use this to help other people fulfill their purpose? Because maybe that's the only way that my purpose is, not the only way. Maybe that's a true way for my purpose to be fulfilled or to be happy.
I love the way you look at things, and completely refreshing from most financial advisors that I have talked to. And I want to dive deeper into how can financial abundance be used to create a positive impact on society and the world. I just would love to see, for example, some examples of organizations and initiatives that are effectively using wealth for social good. And how can you say, you're saying the money flows through you? How can we
Sure.
create wealth with doing good as part of our plan?
Yeah. So it's a really big question. And I think what I'm going to do is talk about how we do it in our firm. And so one of the ways that we want to do, like, so we believe that we don't need to make our clients feel afraid in order to do business with us, right? So that's
Right.
our number one thing. Because if I have to make you feel fearful of doing business with you, then you're going to be fearful around money, and that's going to cascade into society. So why don't we just go ahead and create as much value as we can instead of using fear? And so the way that we talk to our clients is always based on a sense of like, there's going to be enough. And if there's not going to be enough, we'll tell them, because like there's numbers behind it. We also don't try to, so we don't talk over their heads on information. We do a lot of instructional videos just on the basics of it. The way that we invest is like a lot of financial firms will create really complex structures or use lots of expensive products. And what they're doing is creating a wall between clients and their money, right? There's already a wall because money in itself is so abstract. But now they're creating other barriers like mutual funds or ETFs or crazy tax strategies or all these strategies that aren't necessary, that in turn really justify maybe or create some form of justification for the complexity of all their work that they're doing, but it creates a sense of fear and separation. So how can we help our clients really understand what they own, why they own it, and be able to go out in the world without that fear? And then we just trust that they're going to do what they're going to do. Now, some of us will come back, some of them will come back to us and say, we want to build out a philanthropy strategy with you. We're happy to do that. Some of them do it on their own. And some of them want to do, like we have clients who have really interesting social impact businesses where they're creating businesses that are highly profitable, create revenue, but at the same time are really uplifting their people. And honestly, I think I'm beginning to find increasing purpose in just uplifting the few people in my boutique firm and our clients. Like that's enough for me right now. And I feel really good about that. It doesn't need to be on that's scale for us, and we're happy with it.
Well, I love how you make your clients feel comfortable working with you and understand what it is that they're doing and why they're doing it, rather than just coming at it like, oh, this is what you should do. You got to do this. And how can financial abundance foster like stronger relationships and a sense of community?
Yeah. So that's, that's probably one of the most, I remember in high school, one of my favorite teachers, he also was a wrestling coach. He's since passed. He was told that we were like 15, and he just said, and I went to an all boys school, and he said, boys, people think you're going to argue over sex or like housework when you get married. He's like, it's all about money,
Yeah.
and so very rarely do we have when a family comes to work with us, and there are two heads of the household, very rarely are they fully aligned on money, right? Because they have these in really large histories, right? And they've had all these beliefs that have been formed for really good reasons. And so our goal isn't necessarily to change them, but be able to see where the other person is coming from. And so we've created a really cool card game. It's like a questions game. I'll be sure to get my team to get you a set of them so people can get a copy of them or download them from your site or be able to. But it helps couples or families or even people who are going to get married have conversations about money. And so talking is really, really helpful in creating alignment in relationships, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love the focus on communication about money, because I've seen firsthand that it is like something that puts a stress on relationship, and there's expectations. And unless you manage those expectations by discussing them,
Yeah.
then it's just a disconnect, and then it causes huge problems in relationships. So I guess the last question I wanted to ask you is about financial literacy, and how can that help us create a more equitable and just society?
It's interesting. So we send out an actual letter to our clients and and then we put it on our website. But it's actually like USPS. And the one I just wrote on this topic a little bit this month. It's going out sometime this month, but I was on the phone with my niece. She's 21 years old. And she said, Uncle Brandon, I just went to the Luke Combs concert. And I know who he is because she told me, otherwise I wouldn't.
Right.
And he said it was so amazing because he sounded in person just like he does on my phone. As a kid,
So cute.
right? It's really funny. And I remember when I went to college. So as I mentioned before, money's abstract. Like it's just like it started as like maybe bartering, and then you have money, and then we had checkbooks. And my mom was always like, you got to actually be able to balance your checkbooks. And then when I went to college, I got a credit card the first week, and now I, for the most part, and my niece don't even use credit cards; they're just using their phone, right?
Right.
And so there are a lot of people who want to take your money and are willing to take your money, whether it's buy now, pay later, if it's credit cards, if it's overdraft fees. There are so many systems that are devised to take money from employees. And the problem is when you spend money, it goes, but you only get paid, most people, on a weekly, bi-weekly, or so it's like there's a delay. You work, but then your pay comes later. And so there's some really cool solutions around that lately. And there's a lot of people that are trying to take advantage of that gap, right? And so people understanding the basics of that gap and where people are, like how money works, just even the basics, is really important. I mean, clearly that's not what we do as a firm. We're investing money. We will educate next gen on stuff like this. But most people in the United States need that information to be successful and to keep more money in their wallet and not in the wallet of somebody who wants to charge them 20, 30, or hundreds of percent.
It's so good, this focus on financial literacy so that we can all make informed decisions about our own wealth creation and abundance. Do you have any parting words on how we can be unstoppable in our life financially?
Spend less. When I say that, I mean, I believe that for me, so I can only talk for I've always lived well below what I make.
Right.
So I never worry about money. Like I have worried about money now, but I have never extended myself with debt, or put in a situation that, oh, this and this and this has to go right. Now I'm very blessed for that. Right. And I don't think that applies to everyone else. But I do think that there's opportunities for all of us at every time to really think about this thing that I'm about to spend money on. Will it make my life just comfortable? Will it enhance my life? Or will it enrich my life? Will it make me a better person? And sometimes you just need enhancements. You just need to feel better to be a better person. For me, if I'm hungry, I'm kind of a jerk. So like, I get that. Enhancements are important. But what is that balance between enhancements and enrichments? And do I need something to make me better? Or do I already have the power within me to really bring out my purpose? And so being intentional about spending can and how much your monthly nut is, if you have the ability to be intentional on that, will make you unstoppable.
Well, that's exactly what I needed to hear. I hope you guys are just about as excited as I am. It's just like, I don't know what this happened to me, but I've always just liked stuff. And I could look in my closet and be like, I have enough stuff. Like maybe you get a couple things here and there, but challenge myself to not spend just because it's fun. And I like the shine and the feel of something new. So I think spending less money is the best advice I've heard all day. Thank you.
Well, I'm glad it resonated.
It really did. I think that I needed to hear that, and I hope you guys enjoyed this interview as much as I did. Brandon Hatton, where can people find more of your conscious wealth?
That's it, consciousfwealth.com. We'll get you the link so that people can download this we have this game that people can download for free, or they can buy it from our site. But we'd be happy to send the free download link to you all.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for being a great guest on WholeCEO with Lisa G.
Thank you.